It's better seeing you guys after I get this dub.
Yeah, right.
I'll be a little more excited. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Billy, over here. So, you kind of just let us know, but how good does it feel to be here and get the first fight into 2024?
Yeah, it feels great. I was looking for a fight literally right after my last fight in August, and there was kind of a hold up. I was hoping to fight, on one of the big cards against a big name, but it is what it is. I'm super excited for the opportunity Saturday. It's always good coming back to the Apex. It feels a little more comfortable than going out there and fighting it in the stadium. But I still know it's on the line. It's a UFC fight. It's on ESPN. It's on the main card. So I'm gonna go out there and perform on Saturday.
And fighters they vary when it comes to the calendar year. Do you see that as like a fresh start, or is it just, hey, it's another fight, we're rolling through this chapter of my life?
Yeah, a lot of times I do look at it like that. Like, I want to fight 3 times this year. For this one, a lot of it had to do with my wife is due with our second child in April, and the further along we were getting, I was like, we got to get a fight. We got to get a fight. We got to get a fight. So literally at any moment she could go into labor. So it's something that I'm trying not to think about. There's really nothing I could do at this point. But I'm just happy that we got a date, we got an opponent, and start the year off right with a big win.
And so probably need that $50,000 performance bonus a little bit more than the other ones, huh?
Well, it'd be nice, but the most important thing, like obviously every fighter wants to get the bonus. The biggest thing is just going out there, getting my hand raised, getting back on a UFC winning streak. Being 2-0 going into the summertime or towards later in the year. That's the biggest thing right now. But of course, a bonus wouldn't hurt.
And so could you just walk us through kind of how this fight came together? I know you had a fight, it was canceled, another opponent, he's gone. How exactly did this all play out?
Yeah, so like I said, we were like really pushing because it was getting later and later. We were trying to fight in December, and then January in Toronto, and then February in LA, and we wanted to get on one of those big cards, and then Miami. And then it basically got to the point where I'm like, listen, if I don't fight soon, I'm not going to fight until who knows when, especially if you have any kids with like the sleeping schedule. So Sean was basically like, all right, do you want to fight this guy, Gabe Miranda, at the Apex? And I was like, yes, let's do it. I'll fight. I don't even know who this guy is. We'll fight anyone at this point. And I looked him up and I watched a bunch of his film, and me and my coach kind of agreed. I was like, this is a great matchup for us. He's not a huge name, but it's going to be a good fight for us. Sure enough, a couple weeks later, he pulled out, and they were looking for someone, so it was kind of up in the air. We asked for some pretty big names. We asked for anyone in the top 15 who wanted to fight. We were ready to go, and then they mentioned Zalal, and we're in a position that we're not turning down fights. So we said yes to this one, and this is how that came about.
And so what do you think of Youssef Zalal? Maybe not even at first, stylistically, but the position he's in. I know you haven't experienced it, but not many guys get a second opportunity in the UFC. He was really fired up to be here just to get the opportunity. So what do you expect from him when you get in the cage?
Yeah, I looked up his record. I watched, some of his fights back. He was someone that I remembered in like 2019-20 that I thought we were going to get matched up. I think we were both 3-0 at one point. So it was someone that I thought I was going to get matched up with, and then I forgot about him because he wasn't in the league still. So as an opponent, I think he's got a lot of skills. I don't think this is a great matchup for him, though. I saw him. He was talking about how he felt like he beat Ilia Topuria. I did not score it for him at all. He got taken down 5 times. He hasn't beaten anyone with a winning record in the UFC, and I think he's 0-3-1 in his last 4 UFC fights. So I do respect his skill set, and I do know he's entering his prime. He's only 27, so I have a lot of respect for him and everyone at his gym. But I see it a little more clear than other people see it, and I think I see it more clear than he sees how his career's gone so far.
And so without giving up any of your game plan, why do you think this matchup is very advantageous for you?
Well, because in what I've been able to do in the UFC, I've been able to finish really good guys. I've been able to perform at the highest level, and I fought guys that are very similar to him. But I think the biggest thing is just my aggressiveness, my overall skills. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. My striking's gotten a lot better. And I think I've learned a lot from my last few fights. And I've also had a very good training camp. I know he's been getting ready for the Ultimate Fighter. But I was getting ready for a UFC fight this whole time. So I'm very prepared for this fight. And I think it's either going to be fight of the night or I'm going to get a performance of the night on Saturday.
And so I wanted to kind of ask you about the rankings. Right now they don't have you ranked. Number 15 is Alex Kakaris. All the respect in the world for him as a veteran, but he's coming off a loss. You've only lost to some of the best fighters in the division. Do you believe that you should be ranked right now?
I do, but I understand how it works. I know like a lot of times you got to beat a ranked guy. Do I think I'm out? Do I think there's 15, 16, 17 guys in the world that would beat me? Absolutely not. There's some names that really stick out to me. But realistically, I just have to look at my opponent. I can't look past Saturday, and I can't really even think about the rankings because I got to go out there, perform, put on a show, remind people who I am, remind people why I'm still here, and that's what I plan on doing.
And so there's so many advantages that come your way with being, one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. The fans love you, get some bonuses, but are you really focused on like taking that next step and showing, hey, I'm not just an exciting fighter, I'm an actual contender in this division? Yeah,
absolutely. And I got into the UFC. Obviously, being an exciting fighter is part of it, but I think everyone gets in the UFC, or all the real fighters get in the UFC to be a world champion. And that's what I've always wanted. When I got in the UFC, I was like, all right, let's go on a run, get in the top 15 first, top 10, top 5, and fight for a belt. And all the other stuff, the exciting fights, the highlights, all that stuff will come with it. But yeah, at the end of the day, the goal is the same, is to be a world champion. And I know all the accolades and all the money and everything comes with that.
And so last one for me, I saw on your Instagram, you just walked by the treats. Is it fair to say that's the first place you're going after this win?
Maybe, probably not the first place, but yeah, that's actually the hotel that we're in. I take the elevator downstairs. It's like the first thing I saw, and I'm like, who planted this here? Did my opponent put this here? Like, what is going on? And I'm a big sweets guy, so I haven't been able to eat any of that in a little while. But I think all this stuff, it just makes you mentally tougher. Like the weight cutting, the working out on an empty stomach, it just makes you tougher. And then after the fight, everything tastes and feels so much better when you earned it.
Thanks for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
How tough was it not getting the Nate Landwehr fight?
Yeah, and everyone was asking me about it. Like Nate Landwehr's opponent pulled out, and it was really tough because we talked to Sean before, and we said like that Atlantic City date would be too far away. But then when Nate Landwehr's opponent pulled out, it wasn't like it was too late for me because I'm ready, but there's nothing I can do about my baby being born, and who knows, maybe the baby's going to come before, maybe after. But yeah, that was really a tough one because that was a fight that Nate Landwehr and Bill Elgio, those are two guys that we're going to fight eventually, but it's just not going to be right now.
I've seen that you restarted your YouTube channel. How are you enjoying that?
Oh yeah, we just started that again, just to put content out there. It's one of those things that I want to look back on my career and be like, oh yeah, remember that fight? We did all of that. So it's like anything. Like I'm not expecting tons of views right away, but it's got to be set up to start generating some traction. So right now we're just having fun with it. I got a guy back at home who's posting a lot of that stuff. We're filming out here right now, and it's just something that maybe it'll turn into something, maybe it won't, but it'll at least be cool to have all that stuff, looking back on when I'm older.
How's it like being a gym owner?
It's amazing. Thanks for asking. So Gracie Pack in Tampa, it was something that I was trying to do for a while. I was either going to open up my own gym, and it was just a perfect opportunity. One of my friends, Chris Rodriguez, basically was running another business that was doing extremely well, and the opportunity came about where it was after the Damon Jackson fight. I made a little bit of money, and she's like, are you interested in buying this gym? So it took us a few months to go over all the numbers, but the gym was already a successful gym, and now I just took over, and we're going to take this thing to the moon. What's
the toughest part about running a gym?
I think the toughest part is just balancing everything right now. It's, I have a little toddler at home. He's under 2 years old. He's a wild man, and getting ready for a UFC fight, and just doing all the stuff fight week. Like one of my general managers just messaged me that she's like, hey, do you have the Wi-Fi code because the Wi-Fi's down and we got to deal with this. And meanwhile, I'm like, I got to do media and cut weight and just trying to balance everything. I always joke that I thought I used to be busy, but now I'm like really busy, like a real version of being busy. So it's all things that I used to dream about. They're good problems to have, being a gym owner, being in the UFC, cutting weight. It's all good problems to have, but at times it could be a little much.
And finally, any closer to getting a pet squid?
What's that?
Any closer to getting a pet squid?
No, probably not going to buy a pet squid unless one of my kids, when I have the second one, if they wanted one. But even owning like fish and like I had a turtle at one point, they're kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm most likely not, but maybe next time we'll see.